So we're here at the Viking factory in Middleton, Wisconsin. I'm here with Chuck Chwala.
Hi,
What is your position again
I'm
in
the
Viking?
general manager here at Viking Cue.
I always wanted to show people what the inside of the factory looks like. So come follow us around and we'll show it to you.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it. So what does this represent? What was the idea of the whole thing?
So those are the Viking balls have been around for a couple of decades, actually several decades. They were originally put at our old location. Um, the original owner, Gordy Hart, saw the Phillips 76 balls that were at the gas stations, and as those were getting taken down, he repurposed them to
Really?
be billiard cues. So those are actually gas. If anybody remembers the fifth Phillips 76 orange balls, that's what these are.
That is really cool. I love the idea. All right, let's get inside. Oh, hi. Hey, buddy.
Shop dog right there. Viking started in the basement of a small pool hall in Stoughton, Wisconsin in 1965. Outgrew that into a space on Park Street, or just off of Highway 14, which they were there from 1969, 1970, all the way to 2012. And then moved here to our facility here in Middleton in 2012. That's where we stand today.
That's awesome. And how long you've been personally working at the Viking factory?
Since 2016. So
Wow,
been
10
around.
years.
Yeah, so a decade making pool cues in Middleton.
Perfect. All right, so if I were to make the pool cue from scratch, what would the process look like? Walk us through the process of building a cue.
So we would start with a raw piece of wood. Most of our wood comes in square, and it comes in like that up there. The first stop it does is it gets turned around, and it turns into what we see right down here.
And what is the turnaround time usually is for a full cue?
So we would like to think we'd like to have the wood we make for a butt from cue blank to butt in a little over a year.
Okay, I like it. So it's like optimal temperature, optimal humidity in the building.
Yep. Climate and humidity control, low impact on the environment. We just installed really high output LED lighting, so much better work area. And again, further, everything we do, both in the humidity control and the temperature control, is all done as efficiently as we possibly can.
I like it. All right, so we start with the cue blanks.
So yeah, so the next stop for our wood is to turn it into a cue blank, and that happens over here. So we're going to take this guy and this guy. We're going to put a finger joint on it, and we're going to end up with this guy.
Perfect. So this is exactly like the full length of the butt
Yep.
of the cue.
The full length cue with a maple front, maple underwrap. So next step there is to turn that cue into, well, actually that wood turns into our cue blank. That cue blank goes into what we call a rough stock state. So we're going to take that cue blank, we're going to turn it to taper, which is turn it close to size, and then we're going to come over here and put some parts on it.
All right. I'm excited.
So Ryan, this is Ryan's area here. The next step here is so we take our cue blank, we would take and turn on a tenon similar. Well, this is actually we're going to repair this cue, but turn a tenon on it, and then we're going to add all of our butt parts onto it, which is a butt cap, the butt sleeve, and all the ring work that goes on the butt. Then we're going to do the joint section, which we do right over here. So the rings and everything that you see that go on the joint happen in this area right here. So we're going to be putting the joint parts on over here, which are these guys right here.
Also don't want to interrupt anybody.
So we're going to put the joints. So we're going to put the joint rings on in this station right here, and that cue is going to give us something that we call our rough stock, ready to turn. Now, if that cue we're going to go get had additional inlay work that was going to happen, we'd move it over to our inlay department, which is right behind us.
This way, okay. The inlay department is probably my favorite one. This is where the magic happens.
Yep. So we're going to come over here. We're going to cut our pockets. We're going to cut our parts on a separate machine. So now we're going to come over here, and this is where Roberta's gluing them right now.
So I have a question for you. How many parts of the cue are actually made by machine versus just like hand made by people in the factory?
So they're all manipulated by hand. If you're talking about in terms of whether it's a manual machine versus a CNC, a computer numerically controlled machine, we're probably 60% CNC and 40-ish% all hand done.
Gotcha.
So the tenons that are put on both the shafts, all the tenon work that's done in our cues is all done by hand.
Awesome. I love it. And how many people do you have at the factory?
16.
16. That's awesome. All right, what's the next step?
So next step over here is the same cue we saw pockets on, or well, a similar cue that we saw pockets on. We're actually gluing inlays over here. So
the inlays are actually getting like hand glued
yep.
together.
So each part is put in by hand. It's they're all cut separately and assembled here.
Awesome.
So from here, they're going to get glued. They're going to get put together, taped up, and then we're going to let them dry overnight.
Okay.
And then we are going to turn the inlays off and then store them.
Yeah. Okay.
So from here, when these guys are turned and stored, we're going to store them in our rough stock area.
All right.
So behind me, we have our rough stock area and our finishing area. So we have the advantage of having some of our product kind of staged at multiple parts of the process. So one of the advantages there is with these, well, first they can age appropriately. Again, that adds to that part of that year.
Sure.
And if there is a custom order closer to the end that we want to change the color of a stain or some other similar matter, or change the shaft that comes with it, we have a state that we can pull them from inventory and push them through the process.
That's awesome.
And also our finished goods, which are the product that's sold to consumer right out of as finished product, all draw from here as well.
Okay.
So this is the next step or stage in the process of making the cue.
Makes sense. I love this room. It actually smells really good in here.
And when we get done here, when we pull them from rough stock, we're actually going to bring them right back here.
Okay.
So we're going to stain them here. We're going to they will make a stop on the shop to get mated with a shaft. Did you want to look at how the little more shaft is done?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So in the area behind me, we're going to, using CNC machinery, we're going to put the joint in the cue, both the pin in the butt and the insert in the shaft, as well as turning those square and round and to size, as well as put in the weight bolt system. All happens right here in this area. But then it heads back to our finishing department.
Perfect. Let's head back to the finishing department. What are you guys doing with all the sawdust that's collecting at the factory from the wood that you're cutting?
So all the sawdust, and we make a lot of it, all has another life beyond the Viking factory. We collect it, and it is used by one of our local farms for horse bedding.
So I love it.
It lives there for horses, and then makes its way back as fertilizer to start the process all over again.
That's probably the most green way to do it.
Ironically, it is one of the most expensive parts of our process, would be disposing of it. And for the horse farm that we basically donate it to, it's one of their biggest expenses to purchase if they had to purchase it.
Yeah, it's a good collaboration that you have going. Yeah, I love it. All right.
So,
next step,
finishing. So I think we're actually going to get to see a stain cue here. Oh, he's sealing the shaft.
So this is the final process of finishing the cue. After
so we're going to pull out our rough stock. We're going to mate it with a shaft, and then we're going to get it ready to stain. And that is what Jose is doing right here, right now.
I would definitely like to come out here one day and just, like we discussed earlier, just build my own cue from scratch and try to really participate in the process of building it. I think it would be so special. It's the paint booth, right?
Yeah, it's where we spray our clear UV finish.
Oh my.
So not a lot in action right now, but I guess probably the most important things to note are we're spraying a UV finish that does not have a catalyst. So our UV finish is it's a UV, well, it's UV catalyzed. So we spray it on, we expose it to UV light, and that's cured. So there are no VOCs that are released. Not to mention, all of the overspray is collected and recycled. So we actually buy a very, very small quantity of finish per year because we're able to reuse and recycle as much of it as we can.
So these are made for what exactly?
So these guys are our cue hangers. We pop them in here,
okay,
like that. Holds our cues. They go into our booth.
Mm-hmm. So this belt right here is moving, and it's bringing the cues into the booth, and that's where the painting is happening?
Yeah, we're spraying a clear cover or clear coat. It passes by the eye, spins, and then gets UV catalyzed on the other side.
And how many cues per day do you usually go through that machine?
It has I do believe the chain capacity is about 300.
Mm-hmm.
We probably only run, we run batches of anywhere between 75 and 150, and how many times the booth runs depends on how we time it. Because our operation is as staged as it is, not everybody does the same processes don't happen every single day. So the booth might run 2-3 times on Wednesday versus rather than once per day. It just depends on how all the other processes align.
All right, Chuck, thank you so much for the tour. It was great being here. I always wanted to show people what the inside of the factory looks like. And if you guys are thinking of ordering one of the Viking Cue, head over to www.vikingcues.com. And there's a huge selection of cues, wonderful new designs actually coming to you in the nearest future. So it would be wonderful to see. And yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, come back again.
Absolutely.
We'll get you here to make your next cue.
Will do. I would love that. Thank you.